So in this video, I'm going to be going through the scales in the Etude for the 11-12 Region Orchestra bass audition. With the scales, the most important things for you to be worried about is obviously intonation, and then making sure that you create an excellent and consistent tone throughout the scale. They don't care about vibrato. They don't care about how fast you're going. They just want to hear a good in-tune sound. So this scale is set up where you're always shifting to a first finger. The only major technical challenge to be concerned with is the top three notes that happen in here: F sharp, G sharp, and A. This fingering for myself is a 1, 2, 3, where I put a space between that F sharp and G sharp. So what I'm going to do to practice this is I'm going to find my harmonic G and use that to help myself place my F sharp. So I've got this F sharp nicely in tune. And then I'm going to make sure that I can make this 1 to 2 spacing between F sharp and G sharp. And this is going to be a challenge. So what I would recommend is, as you're going to place that second finger, you can release some of the weight out of your first finger. Because remember, we're not going straight back to F sharp here. We're going up to A. And at that point, we really are going to need to release the F sharp. So harmonic. I make that stretch for the G sharp. I'm releasing tension out of my first finger. And then I'm really taking my first finger completely off the string to get my A with my third finger. And then as I'm coming back to the F sharp, my hand is rotating backwards so that I can place the F sharp. That's all there is for the A major scale. G melodic minor. So with this scale, if this is not something that you worked on before, a melodic minor, the defining characteristic is that it changes on the way up and down. So on the way up the scale, we're going to be playing an E natural and an F sharp. And then on the way down, we will be playing an E flat and an F natural. Now this is not so big of a deal in the middle of the instrument. You know, we just make this transition from playing in half position to first position. It's a little more challenging when we are looking at this scary region of the instrument. You may have heard I kind of missed my E natural on the way up, but I recovered. Making sure that we get all the way to E natural, F sharp, and then the G is the harmonic. And this is going to give us a chance to really release the fingers off the string so that we have a reset point. If I've left my first finger kind of in place of where it was before, I may be more inclined to play my E flat coming down out of tune. So my hand comes off, and then I'm coming back for a fourth finger F natural. So that's going to be the one spot to really worry about. I would spend more time working on the second octave of this scale from where I started on the open G. The first octave is going to be pretty self-explanatory. Okay, moving into the Etude. This is from a Kaiser violin Etude. I'm going to play this twice. I'm going to play it once at a slow tempo and then pull it up to the marked quarter note equals 100. So here's slow. Okay, so there's some interesting fingering choices that I've made throughout this, and I'm going to put a link to my fingerings with this video, so you can find that in the description. Some of these are pretty standard fingerings for me. When I look at the second measure of this exercise, I'm looking at an arpeggio. I'm looking at a sequence of notes that the key signature might change, but this is something that I've seen before. If you look at beat 2 of the second measure, we have C sharp, E sharp, and G sharp. I don't want to go into too much theory, but this is a major arpeggio. And for me, I generally like to play my major arpeggios with the same fingering, regardless of what key I'm in. So in this instance, if I'm just starting right at that spot, C sharp, I'm going to play with my second finger, E sharp with my first finger, and then I'm going to make a little shift to play G sharp with my fourth finger. You will very commonly do this in your orchestra class. Maybe if you're playing something in C major, you've got second finger C, first finger E natural, and then fourth finger G to avoid the open string. This is where this comes into play. But it's a really powerful thing to be able to identify patterns like that in your music. In fact, I do the same thing in the last measure of the first line. This is a B major arpeggio, so I've got B, D sharp, and F sharp. Another fingering choice that I've made that I want to make you aware of that I think is very important is the first measure of the second line. I'm just going to play this slowly and then explain what I've done. So the choice that I made was actually playing a harmonic D in the middle of the D string on the second beat. The reason I made this decision is because we've got a slur between the E and the D, and I was racking my brain for a way to play this where the notes stayed smooth and connected. For the violin, these two notes would just be across one string. They don't even have to shift to play it. But for us, if we were going to play this just the normal way, so E, you would have to make this big shift between the E and the D, and it's not a great sound. It's challenging to make that sound clean. Now when I move to fourth position on the instrument, all of the spacings for shifts become closer, as well as harmonics just being easier to grab quickly. So that's why I've made this choice. So I can quickly make a smaller shift, grab a harmonic, and then come back to play the next note. More in tune than that. The other thing to notice in here, when you have these slurred passages, you need to account for the difference in bow usage. We get very comfortable in the first line just playing here because we've got consistent eighth notes. Once these slurs occur, we're going to have to put extra bow in some places. So the first time that happens, the third note of the second line, I'm putting more bow on because I know that I'm going to need more bow to slur these two notes. And there, I'm using more bow on the two eighth notes after the slur. To get back to the comfort place, more bow here. Now this is the challenging one. We need to make sure that we minimize our bow usage on these slurs because we have less time to recover. And on those single eighth notes in that particular one, you're going to want to do a lot of jumping to get yourself back to the frog. So I'm going to do this closer to the target tempo of 100. That's it. Good luck. Please feel free to email me if you would like any individual help with this.